Hey guys, I'm Nat.
And I'm Ashton.
And we are the Nerds in Flannel. Welcome back to a not very special episode. Just one of those episodes where we're like, hey, let's talk about this, and then we hit record.
Yep.
No thought into this whatsoever.
Honestly, some of our best stuff, though.
Yeah. Guys, today we are talking about movies that we hate.
Oh, boy.
Now, we're not necessarily... Well, I'm not saying, at least for me, I'm not saying that these movies are bad. I'm just saying these are movies that I generally dislike, for reasons I will go into. Ashton, what are your thoughts about this?
Yeah, I'm on the same page. There's, to each person their own. You can really like a movie that we don't like, and that's fine. That's fine. You do you.
Yeah. Really.
But we're gonna explain why we don't like these movies, and let us know if you agree or disagree.
Like, for example, we don't like the Lord of the Rings trilogy.
Yeah.
But we do agree that it's one of the best trilogies ever made.
Yeah.
It's really good, but it's just not my cup of tea.
Yeah, same.
Like, I'll sit and watch it, but, like, I'd rather watch, like, The Office for the 10,000th time.
I just think it's generally overrated.
Yeah.
I mean, there are a lot of good things I like about it.
Yeah.
I think something about this list is, there are going to be some movies that we like different things about, but generally, we just don't like most of the things that came out of this movie.
Yeah. I mean, yeah, like in the case of the Lord of the Rings, like maybe the TV show will change our mind.
Yeah, who knows?
Who knows? We'll see.
Yeah.
Ashton, why don't you start?
Cool.
Why don't you start the list off?
All right.
We have 5 each. We might not go into all 5, but we'll talk about them.
Well, coming in at number 1, I might as well just put this one out there since we've been talking about Lord of the Rings.
Yeah.
I do not like The Hobbit and Unexpected Journey, the first one that they made. So let me preface this. I think this movie came out at the best time it possibly ever could have. I generally like Martin Freeman's casting, and there's just... There's a lot of good things about this movie. I understand a lot of people did not like that they broke one book down into 3 movies.
It is what it is.
It is what it is. I never read the book, so to me it's just like...
I read the book. It didn't need to be 3. It needed maybe like 2 movies.
Yeah, it felt a little excessive that they wanted to do that, but, whatever. Now, what I dislike about this movie, and I think they should have never done... and I would really appreciate if no other movie ever does this. So they filmed this movie at a ridiculously high frame rate.
Yeah.
So here's a little bit of film back knowledge for you guys. When movies were first produced, they were generally shot within 24 frames per second. So 24 images in a second. So that pretty much means that you're getting what you need to from a movie. It kind of gives it a traditional movie look. If you go any higher than that, and there are reasons to shoot in a higher frame rate. For example, you need a lot more frames to work with if you want to do a slow motion shot.
Yes.
Which, I like doing in my free time. But generally speaking, you would always render that movie at 24 or even 30 frames. I'm personally more of a 30 frames guy. I don't mind the extra 6 frames that you get per second. Mm-hmm. Back when movies were put on, like, reels, there was only so much space, so that you kind of had to do 24.
You're right.
But now that most things are digital, let's do 30. I'm cool with that. Team 30. That's actually a bit of a hot take for film nerds.
Yeah.
Now, what I think we can all agree on is 48 frames is excessive.
Oh, dude.
The first time I watched this movie, I didn't even know any of this knowledge, but I felt nauseous watching this.
Especially when they're in the mines.
Yeah.
Oh my goodness.
So the reason that they filmed it at such a high frame rate was Peter Jackson wanted this movie to feel more immersive. All he did was make it feel like I was watching an old play that my grandparents filmed on some janky camera. That's how I felt when watching this movie, and I didn't even know any of the reasons as to why I felt that way. I thought I was sick. I was watching this at an event, and I left early because I started feeling nauseous.
Man threw up because of Lord of the Rings.
Dude, like, motion sickness for, like, such a high frame rate when you're watching, like, a 2 and whatever hour movie. No joke. Also, like, it's just something I'm not used to. And, yeah, generally speaking, when you're watching something, unless it's in VR and you have, the specialized lenses, to help kind of with that motion sickness. You don't want anything higher than 30.
Anything else will give you nausea.
Yeah. So that's the reason why I really dislike that movie. It's just like I can't focus on anything else good about it because it's just the frame rate's way too distracting for me.
I mean, and those movies are just, especially the last one, they're just so long, man. Like
they felt excessively long. That's actually another gripe I have with the whole Lord of the Rings trilogy as a whole. But you know what? Whatever. My opinion. You have yours.
Wait, isn't it like the director's cut like 4 hours for one movie or something like that?
Something like that. It's ridiculous.
Like,
but like, I can appreciate long movies, but it's just so hard to watch in a setting, especially when people are like, "Oh, watch them back to back." Unless you're not a hardcore fan, it's like whatever.
Whatever, man.
Whatever.
Watch Star Wars.
Watch Star Wars. That's filmed in 30 or 24, I think.
Filmed in a regular frame rate.
A regular frame rate. Yeah. Cool. All right, Nat.
Oh yes, my turn. I'm gonna start it off with a bang.
Okay.
I don't like Encanto.
Oh, okay.
So for preference, this movie just won the Academy Award for Best Animated Feature, and I understand why, because it's Disney Pixar, and like the music's really good, but like I've seen this movie like 5 times, not out of purpose, not on purpose, but like I just find it boring. Like, okay, hot take, like the music's good. Lin-Manuel Miranda, actual legend, but like I just find it kind of drawn out, and just the whole like lesson about like you had the power all along, the power is you, is kind of like okay, sure, but did we do this like back during the Little Mermaid times? Like, what's going on here? The animation's really good, I must say. Like, it's pretty freaking sweet. But like, Encanto's one of those movies where I'm like, I understand the hype, but like I just don't like it because I don't know. It's hard to explain. I will have a more articulate answer when I like fully like sit down and think about it. But until then, it's just a movie where I'm like, it's pretty good, I suppose. But it's just not my thing. Like, there are movies that I love, like that are like amazing movies, like top 10 movies of all time. That's just not my thing. So, Encanto is my number 1 pick. Also, in no particular order.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah, that's important to preface.
Ashton, go for it, buddy.
Cool. I too thought that movie was overrated. Yeah. All right. Getting into something that I think is a bit less of a hot take, but it's still on my list. Thor: The Dark World. So to many people, this is like the worst Marvel movie, and to me, it is.
It's pretty bad.
It's pretty bad. It's rough to watch. A lot of the reason there was just a lot of drama that happened with this one. Was it Patty Jenkins that was set to direct this one originally?
I believe
and
so.
And Natalie Portman was like, "Oh yeah, woman director, let's hop on and do this." And then she left, and Natalie Portman was like, "Dang." And then she was just like, well, why am I still making this movie? And she still kind of had to make it because she was in a contract. And then studio just got way too involved. And there's just a lot of drama here.
Yeah. For those who don't know, Patty Jenkins directed Wonder Woman with Gal Gadot, and also Wonder Woman 1984.
Yeah. First one was way better.
The first one was way better.
Yeah. Anyway. So that's some of the drama. Some of the other stuff, too, is, like, I don't know if this movie knew what it was supposed to be. It felt like it was just trying to, like, draw on, like, the whole Thanos arc a little bit more.
Yeah.
And then there's, like, that whole, like, Loki thing. And honestly, every time I go and rewatch this movie, I'm like, oh, shoot, this was a thing? And then I forget about it, like...
5 minutes later.
5 minutes later. Nothing is super memorable. Like, I forgot that Thor's mom died in this movie. And I didn't remember that until after I saw
she got shanked
Ragnarok.
in the back.
Yeah. I didn't remember that until I saw Ragnarok, and I was like, oh yeah.
Doesn't it set up a stone? Yeah, it sets up
the
red one.
Yeah.
The reality stone.
The reality stone, yeah. And just that whole thing about extracting it out of what was it out of Natalie Portman? I forget.
It was out of Natalie Portman.
I think I just remember that from Endgame, honestly. With Rocket.
Oh god! Oh my goodness,
dude! They actually redeems that movie a little bit in Endgame.
Yeah.
But yeah, it's really rough to watch. The pacing is abysmal.
Story abysmal. That's a big
abysmal,
word.
Yeah. The story is not fleshed out whatsoever, and it was confusing. You could tell Chris Hemsworth was like trying to be comedic, but they didn't really have Thor as a comedic character at this moment. Yeah. I remember when Ragnarok came out, so many people were like, "Well, I'm just watching this movie for the Hulk," and then like came out and they're like, "Yo, this was actually a really good Thor movie." Yeah, I honestly, Ragnarok just we don't talk about that one. Cool. That's my my next one there.
So since we're talking about MCU movies, I talked about a little bit about this movie and why I didn't like it on the podcast before, and that is Black Panther.
Hot take time.
Very, very hot take. I understand that this is one of the most like loved movies in the MCU, but it's very predictable, and at best the CGI is like PS2 graphics. Biggest hot take I think I've had so far. The best way I can describe this movie is it feels like the Star Wars prequels.
Okay.
Not in a good way.
Okay.
Not in a good way. It's a lot of them like talking and walking, and like the best part about this movie is Killmonger. Michael B. Jordan as Killmonger. But like it just doesn't feel like they knew what they wanted to do with this movie. I understand that this was a big movie for the black community, as like it's a full black cast, and like, you know, that's huge. Like that's awesome. I'm not saying that's a bad thing. It's just like, what if they made it better? What if like the first like full black cast in a superhero movie was like the best MCU movie of all time, but Black Panther is not. I don't get why people are saying that this is the best MCU movie. I just don't get it.
Yeah.
Like, they expect us to think that T'Challa dies. Like, are you kidding me? We're not stupid.
We've seen the Infinity War trailers.
Yeah, he's in it. Oh my goodness.
Yeah.
That's just one of the things. The writing is pretty weak. Like, I talked about this before, but fake killing off a character in a movie, like a main character in the movie, like, what are you doing? Use that time to, like, flesh out character and flesh out, like, the relationships with other characters. It makes no sense to me why they would do a fake out death. It's probably the reason why I hate this movie. But yeah, I just feel like, and Chadwick Boseman, rest in peace.
Love you, Chadwick.
Yeah, man. Gone too soon, but
way too soon.
He's not good in this movie. He's actually not good in this movie. Like I loved him. He was probably my favorite character in Civil War.
Yeah.
But like, because you're rooting for him, because you know his dad just died, got blown up. But in this movie, he's just really wooden. Yeah, there's not much. I don't want to trash the movie too much because I can go into it pretty deep. But I'm good.
I got a bit of trashing for this movie too.
Okay, go ahead. You hop on.
Ulysses Claw. They should not have killed him off that soon. That really ticked me off. I was so upset when he just like
got shot.
And then he's like, and then Killmonger brings him to Wakanda, and I'm just like, bro, what? Claw is such a good character in the comics. He is so OP. Mm-hmm. Why do you have to do that? He's pretty much like Black Panther's main villain, and like they didn't even really face off that, like, except for that car chase scene, and just like even barely.
Yeah,
it's like, come on. And then also the whole accent thing. So I understand that they're trying to do African accents, but they're doing this with all African American actors. There was a lot of crap from actual African countries about the accents done in this movie, and it's just not talked about that much. Just like, and I know that's probably a bit of a hot take. I understand they're trying to be like, you know, kind of like a little more accurate, but it was probably more so cultural appropriating for actual African countries than
right.
And there's actually a lot of good like podcasts out there that talk about this with a lot of different African Americans that are going on this and talking about all that. So anyway, that's something else that I found out after, and I was like, dang, like why'd they have to do that? Why'd they have to do that?
I mean, the whole buzz around this movie, like I said before, it was like a full black cast, and like they. Okay, it's gonna sound really bad. It's gonna sound really bad me saying this, but I feel like that was the only thing going for the movie. Which is, it's a huge thing. It's a huge,
it's a really big thing.
Amazing thing. I'm so glad this happened. But like, did they even try to make a good story?
The soundtrack was really good for
yeah,
this,
that's
though.
true. I can't remember who did the score.
Kendrick Lamar. Yeah. Good job, buddy.
Yeah. No, it wasn't Kendrick.
Or was it not Kendrick?
No, he did he did Stars. Oh, the Stars. Oh, I was Ludwig Göransson, guy who did. I think it's the guy who did the Mandalorian theme.
Oh, okay.
That would make sense though.
He got snubbed for an Oscar. Kendrick Lamar did he helped out for a lot of the.
Oh, he helped.
Though.
Okay.
Yeah.
My apologies.
He's credited a bit.
Okay, cool.
Yeah. Dang. Yeah. Anyway, moving on.
Yes, man.
Yeah. I don't think I hate this movie as much as Nat.
No one hates it as much as I do.
But I also don't really. It's not my
favorite.
Just
boring,
it's pretty low
man.
on the list for me, compared to all the other stuff. But again, there are really important things about this movie that we don't want to overshadow. But I think if we just take it and look at it as like a movie, there's things we're allowed to be upset about.
Also, I just felt like. So, maybe one of the reasons why I don't like this movie again is just like, I saw this movie like 2 weeks after it came out, and everyone was like, oh, this is the greatest MCU movie of all time. It's so freaking good. And I watched it. So maybe that's why it was like, kind of
maybe
underwhelming, but I don't know.
I saw this one with a couple of buddies, and my youth leader, actually. He took us to see this back when I was in high school. And honestly, like, I think I enjoyed talking more in depth about what I knew about the characters from the comics rather than the movie ones.
Yeah.
Cool. All right, moving on. Okay, I'm going to do this one. So, while we're on the subject of superhero movies, a movie I hate with a passion.
Oh, we're still going. Okay, go ahead.
Joss Whedon's Justice League. I think a lot of people agree with this one, too.
Yeah, no, I agree with you. I don't hate it, but like, I'm just like, really?
Yeah.
That's what you gave us?
Yeah. So there's a lot of drama behind this, and there's a lot of stuff that's still coming out about the behind-the-scenes treatment of the actors. I don't know, like, if you guys know much about the whole Ray Fisher controversy or the Gal Gadot controversy and just all this stuff leading into
the Ben Affleck controversy.
The Ben Affleck controversy.
Or the Henry Cavill controversy.
Mustache Gate.
Oh my, Mustache Gate. I forgot about that.
Yeah, that was rough. I saw this movie on a plane. I wasn't about to pay money to see it. I saw it on a plane, and honestly, I never want to touch it again.
I'm gonna make you watch it.
So originally what happened was Zack Snyder was set to make Justice League, and his daughter, Autumn Snyder, ended up committing suicide. So he had to step away from the project, rest in peace. He stepped away for a really good reason. And then Warner Bros. Was like, hey, we need a new director to do this big ensemble movie. Why don't we get Joss Whedon? Because he did the first Avengers and Age of Ultron. And he seems pretty comparable, right?
Yeah.
So he comes on, and Joss Whedon as a director, he does not like improv. He likes everything to go as is set for his vision. He does not really let the actors play around with their characters. He just has what he wants in mind, and that's kind of his process, which that's why a lot of actors don't really like working with him.
Yeah, what they used to.
Well, yeah. He in his later years, he's gotten a lot more hardened about that stuff.
Yeah, that's
true. So, yeah. So he kind of took the reins of this. He took what Zack had already shot, reshot so much of it, and did like a lot of rewrites. They pretty much just made a second movie. And for this footage that they did get, that they used with Zack shot this in a 4:1 aspect ratio, which, if you guys have seen Zack Snyder's Justice League, which thankfully we got later,
it's more squared.
It's more squared. It's more formatted to like, like older TVs, but he did it for a creative purpose, which I can respect. But what they did is they stretched it out and they tried to correct all the pixels for all the characters, so that it wouldn't look as weird. It still looks very weird.
Yeah.
And I watched this on a plain screen, and even I could tell that this looked weird.
I saw this movie for opening day, and it was like, It was like a PS2 video game.
Yeah, honestly. And then also the costumes that they made were all super dark, and he just put on like this super bright color filter on everything. He tried to make it a lot more humorous, and honestly, just didn't really work out for a lot of these characters. And again, mustache gate, Superman's mustache.
Yeah.
Henry Cavill was doing, it was a Mission Impossible movie, I believe. Was that MI7 or something? Or MI6?
Yeah, MI7.
MI7?
MI6? Well, Fallout.
Fallout, yeah.
Fallout, yeah.
And he had to have a mustache, and they tried to negotiate that they would CGI a mustache onto Cavill's character for that movie if he could come back for the reshoots. Studio said no.
Yeah.
So then they had to CGI out a mustache, and his fake lip looks horrible. It became a meme. It was pretty funny.
Yeah.
Yeah. There's just a lot of reasons I hate this movie. And then again, Ray Fisher's character, he had a lot of growth and development in Zack Snyder's cut.
Really good. It was
really good.
Yeah.
Probably one of the best things about that movie. And he was just put in as a side character in this one. And he's been speaking out a lot about what Whedon did and a lot of the other producers of this movie. And there's just a whole like Warner Bros. Kind of like cover up thing going on.
Yeah, kind of messy.
It's pretty messy. Yeah, so I don't like this movie mostly because of that. I'm thankful we got Zack Snyder's cut of it.
Thank goodness.
Thank goodness. It redeemed this movie a bit. Actually a lot. But, you know, even that movie has its own quirks to it.
Yeah.
Generally speaking, though, I just cannot bear to watch this one again. I could go so much deeper into why I hate this movie.
I'm gonna make you watch it.
Frick. I'm gonna make you sit down and watch Black Panther, nerd.
I'd rather sit down and watch Black Panther than sit down and watch Justice League again.
Yeah, you're right. Cool. Yeah.
My next movie is a movie not a lot of people have seen, for a good reason. It bombed at the box office. And that is The Spaces Between Us.
Ooh.
Now, this movie's based off a book. It's based off a book by Stasia Tolman, and it was adapted into a movie in 2017 starring Asa Butterfield and Britt Robertson, Gary Oldman, and Carla Gugino. And dude, this movie. Okay, so it's about this guy, this boy who was born on Mars, and you know he wants to live a normal life because he's been on Mars his entire life, and he starts like talking to this girl online from Mars, and she's on Earth. And when he gets back to Earth just to explore, he like turns out he's like heart issues because being born on Mars affects your bones, your hearts, your heart and everything else. And this really like acts as like a problem for him, and he runs away from his space mom, and this movie's just really. Pacing's bad. Acting's pretty bad. It's just boring. There's a lot of talking. I think I watched a video where it's like there's half an hour of people just sitting and talking. And like, really? Come on, a space movie? You're gonna do that? I don't want to say too much about this movie because I want people to have their own opinion on it, but it's not it, Chief. Like, it's just boring. That's what I have to say. That's all I have to say.
That is.
I was dating this girl at the time, and we went to see it, and I think we left early.
Dang.
Or like just after the credits rolled.
Yo. Yeah, you know a movie's bad when you gotta leave early.
Yeah, I don't think I walked out of a movie, but that one.
Dang. Yeah. That's rough.
I was watching Endgame. This guy walked out. I'm like, what the heck are you doing?
Frick.
Yeah.
Dang. Yeah. You kind of just have to sit in the theater and silently judge people.
Yeah.
But then also silently, like, whenever it's a really bad movie, kind of be like, you know what? I respect your bravery for walking out.
But I paid $15 to watch this movie.
Yeah. That's my whole mindset. If I pay money for it, I feel like I gotta see it through. But
fair enough.
I don't think I've ever actually walked out of a movie yet.
Yet.
Morbius tomorrow, maybe?
Oh my god, might be.
Might be. Cool.
Yeah, go ahead, Ashton.
All right. The next movie I have on here, this is my my fourth pick here, but again, they're not really in any particular order. We just hate these movies.
Yeah.
God's Not Dead.
Oh my goodness.
Yeah.
He pulled the God card.
I pulled the God card. So, I grew up in I grew up homeschooled, so that should tell you a lot of stuff about what kind of movies I was allowed to watch and just the exposure I had to a lot of film at that age. I honestly, like, because I was born into a Christian family, the Newsboys were one of my favorite bands at that time. Just, like, went crazy. I saw them in concert, actually. That was pretty fun. But yeah, they made this song called God's Not Dead. And, you know, the Christian movie industry, being the cringy Christian movie industry, was like, yo, this is a bop. Let's make a movie out of it. And they made this super long, dramatic movie. And it honestly, it didn't really do much to prove God's existence. It was literally just kind of like their own view of a social commentary going about why, you know, how Christians really need to go out there and be a pain in the butt to other universities and defend the faith. And just
the theology was wrong.
The theology was all wrong, dude.
Goodness,
they put this character in a very weird situation where, you know, his professor's like, I need everyone, like in his philosophy class or something, I need everyone to say God's not dead, otherwise you fail this course. Like, dude, that's never gonna happen. That's never happened. No. It's never gonna happen.
It's not how it works.
It's not how it works. So it just sets you up with a very unrealistic premise. Another thing that is super cringy, but also kind of funny when you realize that they actually did this. There's this interaction, I think it's between like an Asian father and kid, and pretty much the father is speaking Mandarin and the kid is speaking Cantonese to each other.
Yeah, I forgot about that.
And they're like, dude, the director wasn't even like making sure they spoke the same language. He's just like, oh, it's all Chinese to me. Like, no, dude.
That's what I said.
You don't do that.
They wouldn't be able to understand each other.
Like, oh my days. There was not a lot of attention to detail put into the right places on this. And then they just kind of spun out the series. I haven't watched any of the other ones. I do not intend to. They're very cringy Christian movies that I'm not really a fan of.
Hard to watch.
Hard to watch. Yeah. I would not recommend anyone watch this. If you want an accurate view of theology,
read the Bible,
and maybe come to Bible college.
Come hang out with us.
Yeah, come hang out with us.
Come
Don't watch
pod.
God's Not Dead.
Come on the pod.
Come on the pod. Yeah, it was wild. Of course, as a kid, I was just like, whatever. But now, when, you know, I can think critically, it's like, no, this actually really sucks.
Yeah.
Don't do that. Cool.
Okay, my next movie. Okay, it's a movie that came out in 2012.
Oh.
And people were like, yo, this movie's so good. And I'm like, nah, fam, it's not. For preference, this is a disaster movie that came out in 2012. Called 2012. So this movie is based on that the world will end because the Mayan calendar is ending. Stars John Cusack, Woody Harrelson's in it. That's all I remember. And it's about the world ending, and this family has to get to, I believe it's like Russia, to like hop on this shuttle to safety. It's like a big submarine to safety because the ice caps are melting and there's earthquakes and flooding and everything. You know, typical way the world would end. They're directed by Roland Emmerich, who's famous for directing like disaster movies like Godzilla 1999, 1998, can't remember. The Day After Tomorrow, and this year's Moonfall, which was actually surprisingly fun. But this movie just didn't hit any good marks for me. I didn't feel like it really knew what it was doing at points. There's this scene where they're in an airport and the plane flies straight down, and then it pulls up at the last second. That's not how planes work. I know it's a disaster movie and I know the world's ending, but that's not how a plane works.
That is called CGI, my
That is
friend.
called CGI and Roland Emmerich. Yeah, no, this movie's just not fun for me at all. Like, usually, like, I would call a movie that I didn't like still fun. This movie's not fun. The CGI is pretty good, though, I must say. Because, Roland Emmerich's computers are, like, the size of, like, my car. So, yeah.
Yeah.
2012. Last one, Ashton. You go for it, buddy.
Okay, so I think I said none of these are in particular order. I lied. The one I'm about to say is my least favorite movie of all time. I watched this movie when I was, I think 15. Before I really started getting into like movies and like, you know, thinking critically about them.
Right.
And I absolutely hated this movie back then. I still do now. It is Snow White and the Huntsman.
Okay, hot take. Okay, no, it's not good.
It's not good. So I was in a drama play. I didn't really know much about, like, I got cast as the Huntsman. We were doing like the spin-off fairy tale sort of thing.
Ooh, Ashton.
It was actually a lot of fun. The play was way better than the movie. And in the original Snow White Disney movie, there isn't a lot of stuff about the Huntsman. That's more like source material stuff. And I was like, well, I want to kind of know the character. I want to know how he's been portrayed in different movies. So I watched Chris Hemsworth take on him in this movie, and I was like, yo, like, this seems like a pretty okay movie. I think it was fairly new at the time. It sucks. Never watched this movie. Holy crap. So I could tell that the writing was not good. The pacing in this movie was very distracting. Characters were way too overly sexualized.
Yeah.
I think it was like Charlize Theron was like the villain. Kristen Stewart was Snow White. Chris Hemsworth was the Huntsman. And, you know, this sort of like a lot of the stuff that he did after Thor, and yeah, not good. Not good.
Not good.
Not good. Honestly, I just remember like I just remember going in and like just reading the book after this movie, like the original Snow White source material, because I could not like I could not stomach watching and taking notes on how the Huntsman was portrayed. It just didn't feel accurate to me, and it definitely wasn't. Don't watch this one, guys. Don't.
I mean, yeah, okay, yeah, don't watch it. I was gonna say watch it to have your own opinion. I would say watch all these movies and have your own opinion.
Obviously, like, these are just our thoughts and opinions, so you can watch these, but I'm just telling you,
you might like
it. It's tough to watch. Honestly, you'll fall asleep, or you'll just
turn it off.
I think I turned it off at like the last 15 minutes.
I mean, you made it an hour and a half through. Good for you.
Yeah. Yeah. Again, like, check it out if you're brave enough. But I think even like based off of critic reviews and everything, no one really liked this movie.
No.
It's flown under the radar for a good reason.
They made a sequel too.
They did.
Why?
I heard the sequel was better, but I'm still way too scared to check it out.
Emily Blunt's in it.
Ooh, might have to. But, you know, only for science. I don't think the movie did much better, but I think people said it was better than... Because they're trying to adapt Snow White, but they're trying to put the emphasis on the Huntsman. And there's also a lot of behind-the-scenes drama with this one as well. I think the director was like, you know, he was going after Kristen Stewart a little bit, and things
Leave
just
her
got
alone,
wild, dude. Things got way too out of hand.
Yeah.
Cool. That is my least favorite movie of all time.
Well, I'm going to talk about my least favorite movie of all time, Ashton.
All right.
And I think this is a lot of people's least favorite movie. I don't care what year this movie came out. I'm just going to say what it is. It's Suicide Squad.
Oh, boy.
Not the Suicide Squad, Suicide Squad. Now, David Ayers, the director of this film, when he was doing press junkets for this movie, he called this movie a soulful drama. A soulful drama. Was like, where is that in the movie? I see nothing. I know that this movie had a lot of studio interference, and I know like it was just like a whole weird production for this movie, but like it's just so bad. The pacing is bad. The acting, pretty bad.
Yeah.
CGI, pretty bad. They have like a thousand licensed songs in here, and they don't match.
Not at all.
Like that's one thing they're supposed to do. I think this movie tried to be like edgy Guardians of the Galaxy, and it didn't turn out well. Like you really like the Suicide Squad. You had to take that and like mess it up. Like it was fine.
Yeah.
The best part about this movie is probably Harley Quinn.
Yep.
Margot Robbie, she's perfect casting for that. Will Smith, Will Smith.
Huh.
I don't find him believable in this role. Like, it's hard to like think of him as like a bad guy.
Yeah.
Well, now it's easier.
Shoot.
I'm just kidding. I love you, Will. But
hit me like a slap to the face.
but like, this movie, man, it just doesn't do much right. The reasoning why. Okay, so quick thing. Amanda Waller, who was the organizer of the Suicide Squad, she like puts the team together. 3 days before she needed to put the team together. Like, okay, it's very okay. I'm not gonna get into it. You just watch the movie. Like, I'm not even trying to explain it because I'm so mad. This movie does nothing right.
It doesn't.
Other than Harley Quinn, because she's great. The villain, like, it's one of those like sky beams where it's like, we gotta stop the sky beam before it's too late. Like, how many movies have done that before?
Yeah.
Like, try a different conflict, please. Oh my goodness. I don't know. I hate talking about this movie. The Suicide Squad's really good though.
Yeah.
It's that. Watch that one. That one's a lot of fun.
Honestly, a big reason why this movie sucked is because they didn't like edit this movie in-house. They took it to a trailer company, and it was their first time editing a full-blown movie. So that's why you get a lot of the licensed music and slow-mo shots, because that's what they do for trailers. But they got him to do the whole friggin' movie, and it's just like, the movie feels like one big trailer, almost.
It's one big music video.
One big music video.
It's so bad.
Dude, I want to see David Ayer's original cut. Because he
I want to see that. So full of drama.
Honestly. He is ex-military. He has seen some crap. He's taken a lot of abuse.
Yeah.
And he wrote this movie to kind of echo a lot of that crap he saw in the fields. But then the studio was like, hey, have you seen Guardians of the Galaxy? Well, let's make this like that. And then they kind of took the reins and just went wild.
Poor David. Sorry, David.
Even James Gunn said he would be willing to see David's cut. Like, he wants that made. And he just perfected the Suicide Squad. So, yeah, we'll see. This movie's really rough to watch, though. Even the extended version is not good.
Yeah.
Which is, yeah, it's wild.
Anyways, Ashley, anything else?
No, I think I'm good. If y'all have any other suggestions for content you would like made, hit us up.
Email is nerdsandflannelpodcast@gmail.com. Instagram is nerdsandflannelpodcast. You can DM us if you have our personal Instagrams or numbers or whatever. If you want to come on the pod, same thing.
Yeah.
Yeah. I think that's about it for this episode, guys.
Yeah.
Until next time, I'm Nat.
And I'm Ashton.
And we are the Nerds in Flannel.
Peace.